Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Council for Quality Growth's 2022 Four-Pillar Tribute honoring Carol B. Tomé. And now, please welcome the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra String Quartet. And now, please welcome to the stage the Council for Quality Growth's President and CEO, Michael E. Paris, and the 2022 Council Chairman, Al Edwards.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about another round of applause for the Atlanta Symphony String Quartet? It is a true pleasure to be back here to our home at the Georgia World Congress Center, and great to see everybody here in person. I'm really happy y'all are here. It's a great opportunity to add another incredible name to our list of prestigious four-pillar honorees.
Good evening. I'm Al Edwards, the 2022 Chairman of the Council, and it's with great honor that I'm here tonight to present the 2022 Four-Pillar Award. This award has previously been given to 32 deserving leaders for their considerable contributions to economic growth and the well-being of the Atlanta region and this state. You can see the full list of honorees on the screen. And with us in person this evening are former honorees Mr. Arthur Blank, Mr. Wayne Hill, Mr. Doug Hertz, Mr. Wayne Mason, and the Honorable Ambassador Andrew Young. And tonight we will add yet another deserving name to this list of honorees as we celebrate the one and only Carol Tomé. Each honoree has been selected due to their embodiment of the four pillars of leadership: quality, responsibility, vision, and integrity. And we're pleased to have with us tonight, speaking on each of those pillars, Mr. Arthur Blank, owner and chairman of the Blank family of businesses. Mr. David Abney, former chairman and CEO of UPS. Ms. Virginia Hepner, former CEO of the Woodruff Arts Center. And Mr. Kurt Kewen, former CFO of UPS. Also, our master of ceremony tonight is Mr. Frank Blake, former chairman and CEO of the Home Depot. We could not be more pleased to have all of them with us tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Most importantly, we welcome Carol Tomé and her husband, Ramon, their family, friends, and colleagues. And to all of our sponsors and guests, thank you for joining us in celebrating Carol. Let's give a round of applause, please.
Thank you, Al. So tonight we are proud to have many elected officials in the room. I'd first like to welcome and recognize Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens. Thank you for being with us, Mayor. And I would now like to recognize all of our elected and appointed officials. Would everyone serving in elected or appointed office please stand so we can recognize you for your service? So we are also honored tonight to have special tribute remarks on behalf of the state of Georgia via video from the Honorable Brian Kemp, Governor of the great state of Georgia.
This is Governor Brian Kemp. Thank you for allowing me to address you tonight as you celebrate one of Georgia's great business leaders, Carol Tomé. The four-pillar tribute provides a great opportunity to recognize the leader in our state who lives out the values of quality, responsibility, vision, and integrity. Carol, your leadership and service across Georgia and continued efforts to create a better life for our citizens is truly felt and appreciated. Your contributions, especially to the arts programs, healthcare, and education, have helped shape our communities. On behalf of the state of Georgia, thank you to the Council for Quality Growth for recognizing such a strong leader. And congratulations to Carol on this impressive achievement. Have a wonderful evening. God bless.
Please let me take a moment to talk about something that I've learned and actually observed over the last 5 years or so, but it was really confirmed this year as chair. The Council for Quality Growth is an organization that meets communities where they are. During 2022, our core focus has been workforce development and educational partnerships. As a result, by the end of the year, we will have met with most, if not all, of the school superintendents from across the region. The Council wants to support and align our efforts with the region's leadership. We want to help develop a workforce that better aligns with the needs of key growth industries in our region and across our state. And that brings me to a point in the program where I get to introduce someone who is a workforce development success in his own right. He grew up in the Adamsville community, is a Georgia Tech graduate, and a chemical engineer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 61st Mayor of the great city of Atlanta, the Honorable Andre Dickens.
All right, good evening, everyone. I am thankful to be here this evening. Thank you, Al and Michael, for your leadership of this great organization, to Carol Tomé that we're honoring tonight, to all of the leaders that are here. I am just thankful and excited to be here. It is a pleasure to always work with the Council for Quality Growth. And as we are here today at what would be probably, I think, my 5th or 6th time being to the Four Pillars dinner. And Carol is a servant leader who certainly embodies the Council's 4 pillars. I had the pleasure of joining Carol earlier this month. Actually, I think it was early last week at the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs with Jay Bailey and so many other leaders from UPS. UPS was opening a first-of-its-kind logistics launch pad at Rice for residents trying to grow their small businesses. And one of the things that jumped out at me was just how excited Carol was about investing in the success of small businesses in Atlanta. The CEO of a Fortune 500 company was all in seeing that partnerships with Rice as a way to make a real difference in the community. And I appreciate that about Carol, her hands-on approach and her ability to sit high but still work throughout all the various aspects of our communities. She loves Atlanta just as much as I do and believes as I do that we can become that shining city on a hill where everyone has the opportunity to prosper. So on behalf of the city of Atlanta, thank you, Carol, for leading by example, and congratulations on tonight's honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Dickens. Now, tonight would not be possible without the support of our very generous sponsors. I would first like to recognize our presenting sponsors: the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, Chick-fil-A, Delta Airlines, the Home Depot Foundation, the New York Stock Exchange and ICE Exchange, and UPS. How about that, UPS? Our champion sponsors are Atlanta Fine Homes, Sotheby's International Realty. There they are. All right. You can yell out. That's okay. The Coca-Cola Company, Cox. There you go. Cox Enterprises. Well, let's just start. Okay. Georgia Power. They're right here. King and Spalding. The Marcus Foundation. Pfizer. Whoa. All right. Squire Patton Boggs, there they are, and the Tomé Foundation. All right. Our signature sponsors include Sherry and David Abney, Aiken Gupp Strauss, Hauer and Feld, Boston Consulting, Georgia Power, and Pross Scour Rose. Our diamond sponsors include Accenture, the Atlanta Ballet, Atlanta Gaslight, the Atlanta Regional Commission, Liz and Frank Blake, there you go, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, Shane and Eddie Cooper, Kathy and Ted Decker, GE, Genuine Parts Company, whoa, all right, the Georgia World Congress Center, Invesco, the Manier Foundation, Price Waterhouse Coopers, United Distributors, and Verizon. And our platinum sponsors are Austin and Bird, the Atlanta Airport CIDs, the Atlanta Botanical Garden, the Atlanta Commercial Board of Realtors, the Atlanta Hawks, AT&T, Cancer Treatment Centers of America, there we go, Elaine and John Carlos, Centennial Yards, CERM, all right, Comcast, Cousins, the Cumberland CID, Carol and Larry Gellerstadt, Sherry and Bill Linney, Morris Manning and Martin, Norfolk Southern, the North Fulton CID, Paramount Consulting Group, Parker Poe, the Perimeter CIDs, all right, the Pulte Group, Regions Bank, Sage Mountain, Scott and Heather New, the Shepherd Center, T. Dallas Smith and Company, the Town Center Community, Truist, Wellstar Health System, Woodruff Arts Center, and WTW. And we would like to express our appreciation to many other sponsors who made this evening possible, and a complete list is in your program. Now let's give everybody a big hand. So I would now like to recognize and thank our tribute chairs this year. Mr. David Abney, Mr. Ed Bastian, Mr. Frank Blake, Mr. Arthur Blank, Mr. Dan Cathy, Ms. Shan Cooper, Mr. Ted Decker, Mr. Larry Gellerstadt III, Mr. John Halpert, Ms. Virginia Hepner, Ms. Donna Hyland, Mr. William Johnson, Ms. Katie Kirkpatrick, Mr. Kurt Kewen, Mr. Craig Manier, Ms. Hala Modelmog, Mr. Russell Stokes, and Mr. Hans Vesberg. The success of this evening is due to their dedication and commitment, and thank you all for your support.
Now, on behalf of our presenting sponsor, Chick-fil-A, please welcome its Vice President of Corporate Responsibility and Executive Director of the Chick-fil-A Foundation, Mr. Rodney Bullitt.
Good evening. And you all can do better than that. I know we don't have Chick-fil-A on the menu, but we can do better. Good evening. There you go. Well, it is an honor. Again, my name is Rodney Bullard, and I'm proud to represent Chick-fil-A, the Chick-fil-A Foundation, the Cathy family, and Dan Cathy and Andrew Cathy on this occasion. Chick-fil-A is proud to continue to represent, or continue to support, rather, the Council for Quality Growth and the Four Pillars Award. Carol, admittedly, I do not know you well, my friend, but I can tell you this. Truett used to say, and he would go around often, that a good name is better to be had than great riches. And I do know your name. Even more so, I know your works. I know the things that you do, and this award is befitting because you are an inspiration and a cog in this city. So thank you for your leadership and your life service. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Rodney. And finally, on behalf of our presenting sponsor, the New York Stock Exchange, please welcome its president, Ms. Lynn Martin.
Hi, everyone. What amazing energy in the room. At the NYSC, we celebrate every day 230 years of innovation, of entrepreneurship, and of leadership. We're the home of the global capital markets. And within our home, if you look at the S&P 500, we represent 70% of the constituents in that index. Now, as far as we've come over the years, there's still a lot of work to do. So if you look at the S&P 500, only 32 of those CEOs are females. To be a CEO of an S&P 500 company, you need to have an extraordinary business, you need to be an extraordinary leader, and you need to be a trailblazer if you want to be a member of that 32. And our honoree tonight fits the bill on all three of those characteristics. So many of us got to know Carol during her time at Home Depot when, as part of an executive leadership team, they saw the growth to more than 2,300 locations, more than 400,000 orange-aproned associates, and over $110 billion in revenue. So it's no surprise to any of us that in her short tenure so far at UPS, she has led the organization to record revenues, record operating profits, with revenues approaching $100 billion. She leads a global team of 534,000 employees, cutting across 220 territories and delivering 25 million packages a day. I don't know how you sleep. But she's continued to focus the business most impressively and has more than doubled the UPS share price during her short tenure as CEO. And if that wasn't amazing enough, she continues to give back to the community. So she's not just leading an immense business, growing an immense business, but giving back to the community and mentoring the leaders of tomorrow. Carol, thank you for your leadership. You're a leader to not only be admired, but also to be emulated. We are so privileged to have you as part of our community. We congratulate you at NYSC. And we're proud to have UPS as a member of our community for the last 25 or so years, and we can't wait to see what the UPS of the future looks like under your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn, and thank you for your support. So the Council for Quality Growth is in its fourth decade of promoting balanced and responsible growth and working for economic prosperity for all of us. Serving as a connection between private and public investment, we value our relationships with the state of Georgia, the city of Atlanta, and all of our local governments across the region. Through the platforms of advocacy, education, and collaborative problem solving, we serve as a catalyst for conversation and analysis for public policy and decisions that impact who we are and who we strive to be in this region. We are a unique organization, unparalleled by any other in the metro Atlanta region and the state. And if you're not part of the council, I urge you to make that investment in the future of your business and join us. So again, I can't tell you how proud we are to be here tonight honoring you, Carol, and thank you all for being with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Pastor Andy Stanley of North Point Ministries.
Thank you. I have the easiest job tonight. I get to pray for this fabulous meal. But I do want to say, Carol, thanks for inviting me, and thanks for all you've done. When I first met Carol, I went home, and Sandra said, "What's she like?" And I said, "She's like your favorite aunt. Beautiful, graceful, wicked smart." So thank you. Let's pray together. Father, thank you for this occasion. Thank you for the amazing people gathered. Thank you for Carol. Thank you for the opportunity that you brought each of our ways. Each of us have a stewardship of responsibility for our city and for our state, and in some cases for the world. So would you continue to give us eyes to see, give us ears to hear, and then give us courage to act. And thank you for this meal that we're about to take. We know that there are many people in the world tonight that aren't sure where their next meal is coming from. So we are both blessed and responsible, and we all take that seriously in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this very special night. I'm Frank Blake, and I'm honored to be your MC for the evening. I just want to start by saying I grew up in the 1950s, and I know what the two prerequisites are for a great MC. You need a terrific head of hair and a wonderful smile. As you all can see, I'm bald, and as you'll see through the evening, I never smile. So, since this is, I think, an empathetic crowd, you're out there saying to yourself, gosh, I feel sorry for Frank. This is going to be pretty tough to be a never smiling bald guy as the MC for this event. Not true. This is actually something I've looked forward to for a long time. It's a terrific event, a terrific evening, because all of us share one thing. We all know that Carol Tomé is someone to recognize and celebrate. And we all know that this award particularly suits her. The Four Pillar Award was founded on the Council for Quality Growth's own 4 pillars of leadership: quality, responsibility, vision, and integrity. Those are outstanding character traits, and each one of them applies to Carol. We are going to go through each of those pillars this evening, and while I know, as I said, that you're an empathetic group, I do worry about your attention span, and so I'm going to make this easy for you. I am color-coding the pillars. The council can pick this up for future events if they'd like for a nominal royalty fee. The first color-coded pillar is, not surprisingly, orange. My favorite color by a lot. Thank you very much. You can guess why we're starting with orange. And I want to start with a short story of when I really first met Carol Tomé. At Home Depot on our earnings day, it was the practice, and I'm sure Craig Manier, who is here in the crowd and was CEO and did a phenomenal job for the last 8 years, and Ted Decker, who is the current CEO, I'm sure they've continued it, but it was the practice that everybody wore an orange apron. Everybody in the store support center would wear an orange apron on earnings day. My first earnings day in the company, now this is 20-some years ago, going up to the boardroom where all the senior leadership was around a table. Everybody was wearing their aprons, but there was something very distinctive about Carol's apron. And what was distinctive about Carol's apron was on the apron, she had, and it wasn't really pinned, it was like it was stitched on, an enormous brown patch. And the brown patch was the Home Depot values wheel. And she stood out amongst all of her colleagues by wearing the values wheel, signifying the values of our co-founders of Home Depot. So I knew from that first moment that Carol was someone who took her values seriously, who was willing to stand out from the crowd because of it, and understood the importance of values to running a great business. So that emphasizes how appropriate it is that she's being recognized this evening. It also underscores how appropriate it is that we have as our first presenter this evening a co-founder of Home Depot, a person who worked in developing those very values on the values wheel, who literally wrote a book on the importance of values in building a business, who has transformed Atlanta, the state, and really the world, not only through his business, but through his philanthropic events, exercises, but also, as you saw earlier, is a prior recipient of this award. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to welcome, for a tribute to our first pillar of leadership, quality, Mr. Arthur Blank.
Frank, thank you very much, and appreciate being brought up here by you, and I'd love to get Craig up here and Ted up here as well. But I love you all, and thank you so much for everything you've done for our company. I could speak for a long time about Frank Blake, but I'm not going to do that tonight because we're here tonight to pay tribute to an extraordinary person, Carol Tomé. And I know that I speak for the entire family of Home Depot and UPS and really everybody in this room when I say there's not a more deserving person than Carol in getting this recognition tonight. My admiration for Carol is really impossible to measure. We all strive to do good, to be good, and to leave people in a better place than we found them, and Carol has mastered the art of that. She is the personification of quality in her work, in her family, in her life, and she has one of the kindest hearts that I know. When she joined Home Depot in 1995 as treasurer, I remember her eagerness to get into the bits and the bytes and whatever else. And we had a policy then, which was started many years before then, that everybody who worked for the company as an executive or obviously on the floor of the store had to start on the floor of the store. So Carol, I remember we had that first meeting and I gave her orange apron and said, "You're going to be working in the store for a while." And she kind of looked at me and said, "Treasurer, apron, floor of the store? That doesn't seem to quite be connected." But Carol will tell you, after we gave her our apron, is really when her career took off and soared, and her understanding of our associates, her understanding of who we were trying to serve was really incredible. She loved the store. She worked in every single department. She worked Saturdays, Sundays, nights, whatever it took. I know her husband, Ramon, is here tonight, would certainly attest to that. Six short years later, Carol became the CFO for the company and has served in that capacity for more than 2 decades. When she was at that point in the company, there was 400 stores. Today there's over 2,200 stores. When she left the company, and I may be off a little bit here, but the volume was about $100 billion this year. It'll be about $150 billion or more. She always concerned about the shareholder, always concerned about all the legs of our stool, all the people we were trying to serve. And during that period of time, after I left the company, it was a difficult period of time for the Home Depot. Thank heavens for Frank and for Craig and for Ted now and for Carol. I would say during that crucial period of time, there was nobody that these CEOs relied on more than Carol Tomé and our orange-blooded associates in all of our stores. So Carol deserves every bit of credit that she gets for the success that we had at Home Depot. During her tenure, the stock went up by about 450%. So personally, I want to thank you. It's allowed me to continue on my business career and to have a foundation which is, gifting in the billion-dollar ranges going forward. Home Depot is my 7th child. Carol, along with Frank and Craig and Ted now, have done an incredible job in allowing me to pursue all the things that we have currently in front of us. Those values, very quickly, as a reminder, are put people first, listen and respond, innovate on a continuous basis, include everybody, lead by example, and give back to others. Carol has always thrived on challenges, and she welcomes them. She's made every list of Forbes and Wall Street Journal for the most powerful women in business for very good reasons. And if there's one thing about Carol, she is always, and continues to be tonight, the best dressed person in the room. I didn't consult with her, which is true. I didn't consult with her, but I put on a blue tuxedo tonight, and she has a beautiful blue dress on tonight as well. So somehow our minds were connected, even when it came to dress tonight. The details always matter to Carol. She is beautiful on the outside. She is more beautiful even on the inside. It's Carol's character, though, I think, which we wanted to talk about tonight. She would work in the stores, as I said earlier, on a weekly basis, Saturdays, Sundays, put on her apron, probably the apron that Frank spoke about. A quick example of that, we got a letter from a customer, this is some period after, that she was working in the garden department, and gardening was her first love after her husband and after Home Depot. Well, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe Ramon is maybe up, and it's very close. But the story, very briefly, is that she was working in the garden department. There was a female customer who was trying to figure out what she was going to do at home, and she needed to buy a wheelbarrow. She realized this thing was big, and she wasn't sure how she could get it home, so Carol helped her, found the right item for her. She walked her out to the parking lot. She helped put it in the back of her car or truck, whatever it was, I don't know at the time. Then she went home with her to make sure that the customer could get it out of the vehicle and, be able to use it at home. She did all of that, and what I don't know as part of the story, which is probably true, is that she probably stayed there and gardened for a while with the customer. But the point is that, Carol never told this woman who she was. She never told a woman that she was the CFO of this great company. And that's really kind of characteristic of her. She leads by example. She leads by doing the right things for the right reasons and taking responsibility for those things. So I thought Carol was going to retire, but there's probably hardly anybody in this room who understands the word retirement, certainly starting with me. And Carol actually did retire. She retired for a little less than a year. And then after serving on the board at UPS and working with David Abney and others since 2013, she became their CEO in 2020. Leaders lead, and that's what Carol does. The one thing I would say without question is that UPS is very lucky and blessed to have you in your leadership role. In closing, I just want to talk about one other thing, and that's a superpower that Carol has. She's married two of the greatest qualities that a leader can have: the ability to make decisions and be kind to everybody in the decision-making circle, no matter how difficult that decision may be. She is a truth teller. Carol is the personification of the old E.F. Hutton commercial. When she talks, everybody listens, and that certainly is true. And she listens because people know that when she speaks, there's going to be nothing but truth. No fluff, nothing doing bragging or whatever unnecessarily, but it's always about the truth. So she has a unique way to combine those characteristics, and that's one of the reasons that people respond to Carol the way that they do. Success for Carol isn't singular. She wants to be better for everybody around her. HD is better because of you. UPS is better because of you. Atlanta is better because of you. I am better because of you. All of us are, Carol. And I've been profoundly impacted by Carol through my personal life and my professional life. And when I had the opportunity to say yes to be here tonight, it was an honor for me to do so. So I also want to thank Ramon. Behind every powerful, successful executive, there are usually more than one person, but in this case, Ramon, who I've known for as many years as I've known Carol, has always been by her side, always been there supportive. Any kind of event, always been finding ways to be, to add to the community and add to the connection to the company. So, Ramon, thank you so much for all of your support and all the love you've shared with a person that everybody in this room loves. We love you for that reason, so I appreciate that. So I would just say, while there's probably no slowing Carol down, I would just ask her as a personal friend and somebody that, you know, I love in every sense of the word, that you, Carol is a rancher. Many of you may not know that. We have 4 ranches in Montana now, and sometimes we compare notes on sizes of ranches and things of that nature. But Carol is a rancher, and as is Ramon. And, you know, I would only ask you to continue to find time to do the gardening that you do, to walk in the morning dew, which you do, to enjoy the hiking, enjoy all the nourishment of nature that you receive when you're there and you're there with your husband. You've been a blessing to all the lives of everybody in this room, so it's an honor for me to be here tonight to represent the feelings of every single person in this room, and I appreciate you asking me, and may God bless you and always keep you well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arthur. Those are terrific comments. So I am making this very easy on you. Our next color in the color coding is brown. You might recognize this brown color. It, of course, leads directly to David Abney, Carol's predecessor as CEO of UPS. David's personal and professional story is an amazing one. Growing up in Greenwood, Mississippi, working for UPS over 40 years in many different kinds of roles, David is a true American success story. In fact, he received the Horatio Alger Award. But here's what's notable for me about David. David is very soft-spoken, and he speaks with sort of a southern version of a Jimmy Stewart hitch in his voice. And when you're in meetings with David, it causes everyone to really lean in to hear what he has to say. And the extraordinary thing about him is that he always has something worthwhile and important to say. It is always worth listening to David Abney, and there is no better person to speak on our second pillar, responsibility, than David. Please welcome a tribute on responsibility from David Abney.
Well, good evening to everyone. And I don't think I've ever heard the southern version of Jimmy Stewart before, but that was a new one. But really honored to be here tonight and honored to be able to talk about Carol. Or as I heard earlier today, Carol, I think we're supposed to refer to you as the one and only. When that was said earlier, she was rolling her eyes. And I know when I go back to the table, I'm going to be in trouble for using that, but it's okay. And but I am glad to be a part of this. I'm also glad, Kurt, that I am the second speaker and not the fourth speaker as you are. And I thought as the second speaker, I'd be safe with my talking points. And Arthur used about half my talking points. So good luck to you, Kurt. That's all I can tell you. I do want to recognize a couple of things. One, certainly want to recognize the continued excellence that under Carol's leadership, that UPS and the team have been able to accomplish. Very, very proud of you and the team. And speaking of the team, I know there's a lot of UPSers, former and present here. If you would please stand up real quickly, let everybody see you. I think there were a lot of people. I can't see any of you, though, because of the lights, but I think there were. Carol takes responsibility seriously, and responsibility is the part that I've been asked to do. She appreciates what it takes to be responsible, and she holds herself, her team, and is also very responsible to the community. And that's the three different things I'd like to just give a few examples about tonight. First, let's talk about self-responsibility. We had grand plans when Carol was taking my place that we were going to be able to work together, and we had this schedule and the things we were going to do. And then COVID came along. And then, of course, the social unrest of 2020 that really brought to light some issues that really need to be brought to light. So the plan had to kind of go away, and we just had to operate to the best of our abilities. But I wanted to talk about that because it sets the stage for Carol. She was brand new as the CEO of UPS. I'm sure she would have liked to have had a little bit of time to get settled in. But one of the first things that she decided to tackle quickly was the social unrest and the social injustice that was going throughout our country, and brought meaningful attention to it. And you saw corporations around the world take this on, as well as many other organizations. But Carol really stepped forward on this, and one of the quotes that she used was that none of us are safe until all of us are safe. And yes. So she made it clear that UPS was going to continue to step forward in this regard, and we certainly have under Carol's leadership. And then let's talk about others. And this is where I will repeat a couple of Arthur's points. But Carol leads by example. She sets the tone at the top, so she holds herself responsible before she holds anyone else. There's no doubt about that. But she also sets high standards or high goals, high expectations for her team. But at the same time, she gives a lot of support and does everything to help them to be successful. She's very good at giving feedback. Anybody that knows Carol understands you never have to know where Carol stands on something. She's very clear. I heard that couple of laughs out there, but it's very true. It's a real strength of Carol's. And it really just shows how not only herself, but taking the team and deciding what needs to be accomplished, then let's get it done, you know? And so, yes, she's going to listen to others, and Arthur talked about that too, and I think she does a great job of that. But at the end of the day, you don't leave until you decide what's going to be done. So, not wanting to borrow from one of our former presidents who claimed that or said that he was the decider, but Carol is a decider. There is no doubt about that, and she believes in that strongly. Would also like to talk about her community involvement, and as much as success as she's had at Home Depot and UPS, she's a real believer of sharing that success. And I found out in various ways in the 20 years that I have known Carol. But one, she asked me to be with her on a search committee that was looking to hire a pretty key executive in the city of Atlanta. And she talked to me how this was going to be light duty and it was going to take a lot. And I guess there's just a little bit of difference in definition of what a lot is, because it seemed like we were working on this almost like a full-time job. Carol was the lead of the committee, and she was calling meetings on Sunday night. You remember those, Carol? And so that same position came open again a couple of years ago, and I made sure that if Carol called my phone, I was not going to answer. But I want to talk a little bit about her efforts at Grady Hospital. We all know what a key role Grady Hospital plays, and Carol has really played a big, big role in that. And Carol cannot do anything halfway, am I right? If she's going to do something, she is going to do it fully engaged, and that's just a good example. I've already heard the reference to the Atlanta Botanical Garden and the role that she has played there. She's been involved with the Atlanta Zoo at an earlier time, and way too many things for me to mention today. One thing that maybe a lot of people don't know about is the Tomé Foundation that Carol and Ramon are so involved in. And they do a lot of good around the world, and but they don't do it in order to be recognized. So you don't hear about it. They just quietly take care of things, and they're just very focused. And it's just another side of Carol that shows that she feels a great responsibility to her community. A community could be Atlanta, it can be other places, but she takes a great pride in responsibility for making sure the world is a better place. So at the end, Carol, I just want to tell you how proud I am of you and what you've accomplished. You're a very dear friend, and I certainly appreciate all the conversations that we have had. And I just want to give you sincere congratulations on such a great honor. I mean, this is quite the honor, and I can't think of a better person to receive it than Carol Tomé. So let's give her one more round of applause.
Thank you, David, for those terrific remarks. Carol is a lover and supporter of the arts. And in a tribute to her passion and commitment, tonight we have a very special performance of a ballet piece from Justin Peck's In Creases. Music by Philip Glass, performed by live pianists Mr. Western Lee Somerville and Dr. Hee Yun Young Rachel Chung. Please welcome the Atlanta Ballet. Wow, what an amazing performance. That was incredible, and not for a moment did I think I could join in on that. Thank you for lending your gifts in tribute to Carol, and a special thank you to Hala Madlamag and Virginia Hepner for their work in getting the musical tributes together for tonight. And it's perfect that Virginia is also here to speak about the third pillar, vision. And I gotta say, I'm thrilled with my color coding on this one because I didn't even know the dancers were gonna be all in white. This one is color coded white. Think art, think blank canvas, but also think snow. This is just my way of getting in a reference to the fact that Carol grew up in Jackson, Wyoming, and was a competitive skier. That has baffled me for the last 20 years. You begin with, it's baffling that anyone would hurtle down a mountain with two little sticks on their feet. But to do that, to race and competitively, I think it is an insight to something that's not on one of these 4 pillars, but that I would say is Carol's competitive nature and competitive drive. But it is also an element of vision, because as you're hurtling down the mountain, you ought to damn well know where you're going. So I don't know whether Virginia skis, but I do know that as the former CEO of the Woodruff Arts Center, she had a vision of transforming the place of art in Atlanta, and she executed on that vision with Carol's help and many others' help in this room. Please welcome, for a tribute to vision, Ms. Virginia Hepner.
Good evening, everyone. I take full credit for asking the Atlanta Ballet to come tonight, and so you're welcome. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of them and all the artists in our community that Ramon and Carol have supported in every way. So thank you for that. Kurt, I really do feel sorry for you, because between Arthur, David, and myself, I'm not sure there's anything left that you're going to get to say that's original, but we are going to reinforce all the good information. So 1995, I got a call from Ron Brill, who was then the fabulous CFO of the Home Depot, and I had the honor of being our bank's lead on the account. It was a very important account. And he called me and said, you know, we're growing so fast, we really needed to add some strength to our bench, and we hired this very capable person. I'd like you to come visit with her and give a relationship summary and then take it from there. I said, terrific. So I thought, you know, this is really important. And so I put a lot of effort, I thought, into doing an executive summary and a relationship plan. I'm sure Carol doesn't remember anything about this, but we met and gave her a copy, and we went through everything, all of our relationship and some ideas we had that we were working on. And she said, great, asked me a couple of questions, then very politely slid over her own portfolio and opened up an executive summary of what our relationship was. Lesson number 1, Carol is always prepared. Always. And all of those of you who work with her, you can relate to that. And so from the beginning, I knew what her professional vision really was as a person and as a leader. And Arthur and David were very eloquent about that. And over the 25 plus years we've known each other, first in business and then became very good friends to my happiness. I saw it all the time. I saw her work ethic, her ability to synthesize information so quickly and make decisions, also to be so inclusive in that process. And at the heart, though, I think that was especially strong was her dedication to serving customers. In her bones is she remembers who pays the bills, and she remembers that we all are here to serve them, and she serves the customer, the associates, and the shareholders to great benefit. And so from a professional perspective, you know, the highest standards that you've all heard about. But we're not honoring Carol solely for that, because there are so many great people with all these great qualities. But what I'm thrilled to talk about is really her personal ethos, her living life with a purpose. Because as I've gotten to know her, all of those characteristics from a business perspective, she brought into her civic life. You know, as friends, it would take 50 people in this room to give us examples of all the things she's done, serving on committees, leading fundraising campaigns, et cetera, but we don't have time for all that. But I will say, especially grateful, and Atlanta will be and should be, grateful for her dedication to understanding the importance of our cultural community, arts, and helping bring arts and education everywhere. It's a passion I have, and I'm not an artist, and that's really good. We just understand the value of it, and she has helped me so many times. And, you know, as a friend, I asked her to get involved with the Metro Atlanta Arts Fund many years ago. And the Arts Fund was created to really serve smaller arts organizations that create the ecology of arts, all the way up to certainly much larger organizations like the Woodruff Arts Center. So Carol was involved and ultimately became chair. And while she is comfortable in any room, and we all know that, occasionally the transition to from the corporate life to the nonprofit life took a minute. So one day, I remember we were having a conversation about a capital campaign, a fundraising campaign for a specific need. And again, for these are the smaller organizations with operating budgets of under $2 million. So we were very thoughtfully poring over the campaign ideas. And Carol, looked up over another beautiful pair of glasses, which she has an infinite number, I'm pretty sure. She looked up and matter-of-factly stated she thought we could do $2.5 to $3 billion, which should be within reach of the campaign. And you could hear a pin drop in the room. And then we all burst out laughing, and she said, right, million. I just come from a strategic planning meeting at the Home Depot. So unfortunately it was millions, but we exceeded it with her help. And she just never says no to things that she cares about. Since I have the really privilege of standing here to talk about someone I love, but so many in this room love, I took the opportunity to call a few friends that we have in the community and said, tell me what you think. And so these are verbatim of a few thoughts I wanted to share with you. Carol is wicked smart, results-oriented in everything she does, usually 5 steps ahead of the rest of us. She is a fierce listener, crisp leadership style, doesn't suffer fools, and a great BS detector. I thought you would appreciate that particularly. She is always on time, always prepared, and has shown me what it takes to be the best at everything I try. She's authentic and relates to every person and lifts them up. One of her colleagues told me, Carol will inspire you to do more than you think you can. She instills confidence, and I knew I couldn't fail because she believed in me. So, a few more. She takes community leadership as seriously as any business endeavor. She adds value to any room she is in. Serious presence about making progress and cuts through issues with startling clarity. She won't get involved unless she can contribute and make a difference, and when she does, she is all in, regardless of how difficult the challenge. She shows up, engages, and follows through. She has broken so many glass ceilings, she should be covered in shards. And lastly, she is so creative, kind, and warm, and a totally devoted friend. So, frankly, Carol, the only endeavor that I think you haven't aced, and I hate to use the failure word, but you really failed at retirement. You really did, and Ramon concurs with me. And honestly, thank goodness for the rest of us that you accepted the challenge, because what you and UPS have faced on behalf of all of us the last 2 years is just so inspiring. And I know it hasn't been easy, and you're still working on it. So the program, I know, sums up her approach to life, to lead, to inspire, to serve, to create, and give to remain. It is so very appropriate that a major priority of the Tomé Foundation that's been referenced is to help the next generation succeed through the Tomé Scholars. That seems so appropriate for the two of you that I know and love, because you've always led a life with purpose, and your vision is to do the same and inspire others to have an equally successful life. She's shared her many talents with us in business, civic life. Congratulations, my friend. No one is more deserving of this wonderful award. Thank you.
Thank you, Virginia. So the final color code, for those of you who are following along, this is supposed to represent diamonds. Carol is a believer in leading through the model of the inverted pyramid, where the CEO is at the bottom of the pyramid rather than at the top of the pyramid. And when you think about leading an organization from that perspective, you understand the importance of integrity, because it is a weight-bearing position. The weight of the organization is on the CEO in an inverted pyramid. And you can't afford not to have rock-solid integrity, because otherwise the organization fractures. Kurt Kuehn is someone who well understands the importance of integrity. His career at UPS spanned 38 years. Lots of different jobs over his 38 years, for the last 8 of which, though, he was the CFO. His career, his personal life, is a reflection of the importance of integrity. And so, please welcome, for a tribute to our final pillar, integrity, Mr. Kurt Kuehn. Kurt?
Well, thanks, Frank. You know, it wouldn't have broken my heart if you just used brown again. We could use twice the exposure. So, good evening, everyone. It has been an incredible night and a lot of energy. And that makes sense because we're here to celebrate an incredible woman and leader. And I can't think of anyone who more wholly personifies the 4 pillars than Carol. And so it is a real treat for me to be able to tell you a little bit about my friend, my boss, my peer, my fellow CFO, Carol B. Tomé, and the pillar of integrity that underlies her effectiveness. And we'll talk a little bit about integrity, because that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Most of you, if you've heard tonight in the business community, are very familiar with Carol's substantial financial expertise, wicked smart analysis, take no prisoners but do it nicely approach. But those of us that have really worked with her day in, day out, know that it's really her integrity and her authenticity that shines through. Just doing what's right is a part of it, but being authentic to yourself is what makes you an infectious leader that can light up a room. I've had the privilege to know Carol for many years, some 20 years, first through her role on the UPS board of directors. And then when I became CFO, she became she and I were fellow CFOs, but she also became my boss because she was the head of the audit committee. And yeah, you talk about this preparation for meetings. I had to up my game. She somehow absorbed every little bit of it, or did a heck of a good job making you think she did. And even when her BS alarm went off, she let you know that she knew with a very kind approach. So it was intense, but it was also very supportive, which is an incredible balance. In those roles, I began to see that her intellectual curiosity, her enthusiasm, her understanding and desire to really understand the issues, and her determination to get to the bottom of things, or search for truth, which we heard earlier, is a key part of who she is. And that boundless energy that we all see comes from a real place within. She's not afraid to be different, whether it's, multicolored glasses or an occasional hairdo change or some very strong statements with clothes. She has enough confidence in herself to step out and be an individual. And that enthusiasm and determination to make an impact is incredibly unique. Coming into a culture like UPS, you can have any color you like as long as it's brown. We're a culture for many years that thrived on collaboration and sameness. And that was a great strength, but it also becomes a weakness when things change quickly, when diversity and freedom of thought and multiple perspectives become so essential. And so Carol has stepped in fearlessly and has been able to stir things up at Big Brown a little bit. She has the energy to light up a room of people, but also the self-awareness and introspection to be grounded with that energy. And that's an incredible balance that's hard to get to. But she's inspiring to be around. Long before her days of ascension to the CEO role at UPS, Carol led a group of CEOs at the Metro Atlanta Chamber. And Katie, I promised you I'd use this anecdote. She wasn't the head honcho there. Certainly there were many CEOs that were of larger companies and greater duties. But she stepped in her role at the chamber and lit that group of seasoned executives up and was able to inspire those leaders to sponsor the major initiative of an incredible repositioning of Atlanta that has made us the hub of technology and innovation that we are today. And the way she brought it together, we talked about it for 10 or 15 minutes. She let the room go quiet. And she said, okay, guys, are we going to do this or not? And that shifted to action very quickly. So it's not just from the most senior person in the room that she's able to light up a crowd. When I retired from UPS in 2015, our professional relationship became more personal, and we became friends. Separate from the day-to-day meetings, monthly meetings we used to have. And Carol and Ramon would come out and spend lots of time with me and my wife at our lake home we have up in northern Cobb, helping us drive around the property and have fun thinking about how we were going to renovate it. And we tried to show the fruits of the enjoyments of retirement. And, even before Carol had announced her retirement, we were working on her. You got to enjoy life a little bit. Although, as we're sitting in our zero-gravity rocking chairs looking at the lake, Carol's not relaxing. She's looking for the brand on this thing so they can put it in their stores. So she's always on duty. And Arthur, you'd be very happy to know that she was working on a Saturday. So. As for Carol's retirement from Home Depot approached, we encouraged her even more to begin embracing a more laid-back attitude, tempting she and Ramon with trips to Costa Rica, having fun at the Atlanta Shakespeare Theater, and beginning to relax. But that was really a waste of time for me. You could see that there were still chapters to be written. Carol didn't know anything specifically, but there was still that drive within her, and she knew that there was still another mile or another couple laps or whatever the case is. She had plenty left in the tank and was ready to go. And who knew what a opportunity would pop up? And it's one that has been a wonderful occurrence of Carol coming into a company she knows but isn't fully a part of and is able to have a huge impact. I still remember meeting with her later after her position is announced, but before she'd taken over. This time, rather than coming to our lake property, I went and we sat in her kitchen for a number of grueling hours, talking about UPS. I was already retired, and she put me through the ringer, going through issue over issue, in a friendly way, of course, but I was being tapped. And it was clear she'd done her homework. She knew the company like the back of her hand from all the years as a board member. We talked about some of the people, but then it got a little quiet. And Carol said, you know, though I'm concerned that I may not be accepted into this UPS culture. There's never been an outsider, quote unquote. And at UPS, it takes you 15 years to learn all the secret handshakes. I mean, you got to be there for a while. And she was worried that she wouldn't be accepted. And I assured her after her years on the board and with her enthusiasm, her blood was already as brown as any UPSers. And that she hit the ground running and felt like she was a part of the company. And as you've heard, in the 2 years that she's been leading UPS, Carol has made some startling changes to our beloved culture. I mean, real things that shook us to the core. On the positive side, she's clearly unleashed a range of diversity in thought, in personality, and allowed our people to bring their authentic, full selves to work, enabling and celebrating differences, which is great for a squeaky old culture. But then there are a few other things that, you know, as an old-time UPSer, I'm just not sure about. You know, I mean, seeing a few UPSers these days with beards and, you know, even tattoos. So I don't, you know, the place has gone to heck, Carol. I know. So, but seriously, all of those items, be they funny or serious, it takes courage to drive change, to stand up and lead and in a direction that isn't always clear. You must be willing to face uncertainties and tackle them. And that was probably my biggest learning as a senior executive, is how much courage it takes to really step in and to be there every day. As been said before, so I'm repeating, she was the first CEO at UPS from the outside. Certainly the first woman, and certainly a great innovator that's going to leave an imprint for years to come. What an inspiration. A former UPS CEO that many of you may know, Oz Nelson, who was CEO when we moved to Atlanta, once said that most of us think that integrity means having good character, telling the truth, and adherence to a code of ethics. But it also means making sure that everything hangs together with grace and with power. And I can't think of a better description of Carol. She's got that grace and energy and enthusiasm that makes people want to connect with her, but she also has power, knows how to use it, and therefore is incredibly effective. Grace and power. Her courage, curiosity, honesty, grace, and ethically wielded power culminate into an unshakable integrity and authentic view of Carol Tomé. So it's been my privilege to know Carol as a colleague, a boss, and a friend. She exhibits the same enthusiasm, curiosity, and authenticity in all of those roles. So what you see is what you get. Maybe dialed up or down a little bit depending on the circumstance, but nonetheless, there is an authenticity to her that's contagious. Our founder of UPS, Jim Casey, said in 1959, however weak or strong we may have been in our other respects, one quality that's always prevailed at UPS is honesty of purpose. And Carol, your honesty of purpose is contagious. It's spreading across the company like the next COVID, and it's a great disease to have. You've done much good in the world and have a lot to do and a huge responsibility to lead these 540,000 people across 200 countries. But this one small subset here are big fans of you. And we're so glad to celebrate with you not only your business results and drive, but the integrity that you bring every day to your people. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. It has been a real honor to be the MC for this evening. You know, it's actually sort of interesting, this color coding thing got me to thinking, because Carol's still very young, and she probably has many other things to do in her career still. And so I went to the Google random color generator, Yes, there is such a thing. There's a Google random color generator. And I put in the orange, brown, white, diamond, and said, what would be the things that follow? And it came out red, white, and blue. 5 years from now, folks, you remember that comment when you're addressing her as Madam Secretary. Just something to put in the back of your head. So listen, ultimately, this is a thank you from all of us to Carol, and it's a thank you for giving us the opportunity to recognize and celebrate you. Because what links every single one of us is that you have made a difference in our lives. I know that's true for me. I think it's true for everybody in this room, and thousands, and literally thousands of people who aren't in this room. You are an extraordinary leader. You are an extraordinary person. And thank you for the opportunity to be able to say that amongst a large group, as with all of the other presenters. And now we have a video tribute for you entitled Lead to Inspire, Serve to Create, Give to Remain. Thank you.
Our journey in life is one of adventure, one of wonder, joy. It shapes who we are, places we make our mark, and those whose lives we touch. For some, this journey is so extraordinary that we need to celebrate it. And there is no better example than Carol Tomé, the embodiment of quality, responsibility, vision, and integrity, and one who continues to navigate an inspiring life following these simple tenets.
Carol grew up in rural Wyoming. It's a rugged part of our country. Fishing, hunting, cooking, sewing. She learned a lot about grit and a lot about work ethic from her parents.
Carol's family taught her and her three siblings the value of resilience, curiosity, and most important, kindness to others. Her grandparents and parents instilled in her at an early age that she could be anything she wanted. The question was, what was the anything?
There the snow is billowy white.
As she explored the possibilities after high school, Carol's journey stopped at Colorado State University, where her passion for downhill skiing, left academics in the slush. For her sophomore year, Carol transferred to the University of Wyoming to focus on her studies. It's also where she would discover her one true love.
Well, Carol and I met at the University of Wyoming, and it was a toga party. So we've been together ever since. Carol was very studious. She planned to have a degree in communications, and she graduated. After that, she went to University of Denver in Colorado.
It's here Carol earned an MBA in finance, as well as continuing her journey as a newlywed.
Her father was the owner of a community bank in Jackson, Wyoming, and she actually planned to work for him after she graduated, but unfortunately that didn't work quite well, and it was probably a good thing because she was able to move and expand her horizons a little more.
And expand her horizons she did, first as a commercial lender at United Bank of Denver, then in finance at the Johns Manville Corporation. This success would afford Carol an opportunity in the early 1990s to become treasurer of Riverwood International. It would prove to be the catalyst for Carol making her mark on a whole new part of the country, Atlanta, Georgia. Carol's finance acumen was getting noticed, and she soon became on the short list to join one of Georgia's most beloved companies.
That's right. Each Home Depot has over 200 folks ready to help you.
I was working at Home Depot in the finance department, and Carol was our very first female executive leader. It was a big buzz about that in the man's world of hardware.
If you are real, genuine, and authentic, you'll have credibility.
As treasurer and later CFO, Carol helped expand the Home Depot from 400 stores to over 2,000.
Leadership is about courage.
Navigated the company through the 2008 housing crisis and delivered a more than 450% increase in share price for stockholders.
We'll have the highest sales and earnings in our company history.
All without compromising her down-to-earth leadership style.
Under Carol's leadership, Home Depot experienced fantastic growth. They have, in my view, one of the strongest inverted pyramid cultures where the employees and the customers come first.
True successful people are really about people who have something to give. Carol has a lot to give. She's about her team, and she is about her customer. And she is about making sure that what she does as a leader is satisfying to both. She wants to make sure that her team works in the right culture, which she is incredibly good at developing. And she wants to make sure that her customer gets the best service.
She didn't want to just know the business as the CFO, she had to live the business. So there are so many stories and photos of her in her orange apron in the stores, learning about inventory, learning about what the associates are doing, walking the talk.
We want to make Georgia #1 for business.
After 24 years of service at the Home Depot, Carol was ready to hang up the orange apron and put on the gardening gloves. But does someone with so much to offer and desire to give back ever truly retire? For Carol, the answer was a hard no.
I think her secret sauce is the fact that she is so generous with her time. I don't understand how she does it. And when she retired for what seemed to be not very long, my phone blew up with all the people asking me to get her to consider boards and charities.
She continues to be a sought-after corporate board member and has given her time and talents to the Atlanta Botanical Garden, the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce, and UPS, just to name a few.
UPS is 115 years old.
It's the latter that would motivate Carol to trade the gardening gloves for an iconic brown uniform.
She could have just retired to the farm with Ramon and instead decided to go become one of not many global Fortune 100 women CEOs at UPS. And again, I think Carol brings her inspiring leadership style and is already making a big difference in another institution here in Atlanta.
Carol proved to be the perfect steward for UPS, taking the reins of this essential company as it faced unprecedented challenges.
We were in the midst of the pandemic, and UPS was a critical part of the infrastructure and the supply chain of the United States and many other countries. UPS was dealing with unprecedented demand that was stressing its operations in ways that had never happened before. She came in with a very, very high degree of difficulty. And so what did she do to try to steward it? Well, she worked immediately with her team to challenge their strategy, and they changed it. They came up with something they dubbed better, not bigger. And it was a pretty fundamental shift, but they had great results immediately and they had great impact on the share price.
This quarter was proof positive of our better, not bigger strategy, where we saw our revenue growth exceed our average daily volume growth.
And you know why our customers are paying us? Because of our great service.
That's right.
To be a great leader, you have to be a great team builder. And Carol has a gift. And she has a gift to truly create a culture.
Giving back is what UPSers do best.
Carol spent time investing and focusing on her hundreds of thousands of UPSers. She spent time at the front line trying to understand what she could do to make their lives better. And so you think about stewardship, it's clearly setting the strategy and the direction, but the investments in the people and the team of UPSers is what's going to help that company go forward and continue to thrive going forward.
I need you all to be fearless, because if we are fearless, we will be unstoppable.
Carol's emphasis on culture and community isn't confined to UPS.
What advice do you give young girls who want to be CEOs?
Actually, I would say that you should live something that Maya Angelou said. She said, don't make money your goal. Instead, do what you love
Anyone who's met Carol as a woman is inspired by her. Anyone who's had the opportunity to listen to her speak about the work that we do as women is inspired to go on to the next level. So I think we've got another generation of great female leaders coming up because they've been inspired by Carol Tomé.
Since I've known Carol, she's always been a giver. You know, I think they say in church, a cheerful giver. She is a cheerful giver.
The Tomé Foundation channels the Tomé's philanthropy in numerous ways, including awarding scholarships to women and minority students, protecting natural resources, and supporting the arts.
Their commitment to giving back is a lifetime commitment, and they show that every day.
Even with all these commitments Carol and Ramon have, there is one that takes precedence: the commitment to each other.
I think perfect day for us would be at our farm in Northwest Georgia, and just spending time in the fields, and then just sitting outside and the stars, and everything is very good.
So Carol, wherever your journey continues to take you, we know that you will continue to lead, create, and give back. And we love you for that.
I don't know what young women were thinking about and dreaming of in rural Wyoming in the 60s. I don't know what Carol was dreaming of, but not many of them are dreaming that they're going to end up the CEO of one of the most important companies in the world. What an amazing American story that is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Council for Quality Growth's 2022 4-Pillar Tribute Honoree, Carol B. Tomé.
Thank you. Carol, it has been an unforgettable and heartfelt evening. The Council for Quality Growth could not be more honored to have this opportunity to pay tribute to you, your accomplishments, and your contribution to our community. And when I say community, I mean our city, our state, our nation, and our world. It is my personal pleasure on behalf of the Council to present you with the 2022 4-Pillar Award. Please come forward. And the award is inscribed with the words quality, responsibility, vision, integrity. In tribute to Carol B. Tomé, Council for Quality Growth 2022 4-Pillar Award. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Would you?
It's beautiful.
Take a picture. Would you like to say a few words?
I would be happy to. Well, I'm rarely at a loss for words, but tonight I find myself speechless. It's not clear how to me to say thank you. Words like honored, humbled, indebted, grateful, they just don't express the way I feel. My favorite poet, Maya Angelou, wrote, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget the way you made me feel." I know I'll never forget the way that you made me feel tonight. Thank you all, thank you all. You've heard a lot of my personal stories tonight, but if I may, let me share one more. As you heard, I was raised in Jackson, Wyoming. It's such a beautiful place. We call it God's country. As a little girl, I would oftentimes camp out in the backyard, grab my sleeping bag or just a blanket and a pillow and sleep out under the stars. One night, I think I was about 11 or 12 years old, I went back out to the yard to sleep. But there was no sleeping because the night sky was gorgeous. The stars were so bright, the sky so expansive. It was just brilliant. I gazed at those stars in wonder when all at once I was filled with dread. A wave of fear washed over me. I was paralyzed by that fear. And it wasn't fear of being eaten by a wild animal, although there were plenty of those around. It wasn't that. It was a fear of dying and no longer being able to see those stars. So imagine this, I'm in my sleeping bag trembling in fear when all at once I felt another wave. And this was a wave of comfort, like a warm, gentle embrace. And then I heard a voice. And the voice said, "Don't be afraid. I'm with you. I've always been with you, and I will stay with you forever. You are here for a purpose." And I asked myself, did God just speak to me? I think he did. You know, way, way cool. Anyway, from that moment, I've never been afraid of dying. And I've been really focused on my purpose. Now, my purpose journey has had twists and turns and ups and downs, but I think I finally figured it out. My why: lead to inspire, serve to create, give to remain. That's my why. And I know that my purpose journey has been informed by the people in my life. As I reflect on my career, I marvel at the fact that I didn't just work for one iconic company, I've worked for two. When I worked at Home Depot, I was orange-blooded. Well, today, brown is the new orange. What a blessing to work for two iconic companies with extraordinary leaders who have had an enormous impact on me, some of whom you have met here tonight. Take Arthur Blank. Back in 1995, before I joined Home Depot, I interviewed with Arthur. Arthur said to me, "Carol, we don't know how high is up for you. That's for you to show us, but we will give you every opportunity to reach your highest potential." I didn't realize it at the time, but Arthur started investing in me the day I interviewed with him. Arthur taught me the importance of servant leadership. And then when I started working for Frank Blake, he taught me the power of servant leadership. I was Frank's CFO during the last financial crisis, at a time when we had to make some really hard decisions like closing stores and exiting businesses. Frank showed me that if we were true to something that Bernie Marcus said, we would emerge even stronger than we were before the crisis. Bernie said, "Take care of the associates, they'll take care of the customers, and everything else takes care of itself." Bernie said it, Arthur lived it, Frank lived it, and it worked. And this servant leadership continued when Craig Meniere became CEO. I learned so much from Craig serving as his CFO. He is quick to listen, slow to speak, and when he speaks, the message is powerful. And now Ted Decker is Home Depot's CEO. I hired Ted 20 years ago, and he was one of the best hiring decisions I've ever made. Ted continues to carry the servant leader torch. I stand on the shoulders of these leaders and on the shoulders of so many other Home Depot associates, and I pledge to serve others. Serve to create is part of my why. And that's one reason when I came out of retirement, when David Abney and the UPS board approached me about joining the company, my first reaction was, "Really? Don't you think I'm too old?" But they said no, and they wanted me to think about it, so I did. I've known David and former UPS CFO Kirk Kewen since I joined the UPS board back in 2003. UPS is a purpose-driven company with more than 500,000 UPSers who every day move our world forward by delivering what matters. Serving this amazing company that was built by outstanding leaders like David and Kurt and so many others, well, it's an honor. I've led UPS during the past 2.5 years, and no matter how you look at it, it's been unprecedented. Pandemic, social unrest, political unrest, a war in Eastern Europe. If there was ever a time needed for inspirational leadership, that time is now. 115 years ago, UPS was started by an entrepreneur named Jim Casey, who said, "Determined people working together can do anything." I've seen that firsthand at UPS. UPS has helped shape my why, lead to inspire. And I would love to give a shout out to my executive team and all the other UPSers who are here tonight. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your tenacity, and thank you for your support. UPSers inspire me every day, and I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you. You know, there are a few other reasons that I came out of retirement. First, I love to create value, and I thought if I got into the company, I might be able to turn some dials and create some value, and as a team, we have. I also knew that if I took the job, I would need Ramon's support, which, and some of you know this, he gave. When I asked Ramon if I should go back to work, he quickly responded with, "Please go back to work. You are driving me crazy." You know that old adage, I married you for life, but not for lunch? Yeah, we've been married for 38 years, and Ramon, I couldn't do what I do without your support and your love. I love you, honey. I do. But here's something else you may not know about my journey to UPS. I was wrestling with the decision. After all, I had retired. And one day I was working out with my trainer, Saida, and I told her I had some reservations about coming out of retirement. And she looked at me and said, just as directly as trainers do, "You must do this. You have to do this for the women of the world." And I thought, oh, right, I do. So for the women here tonight, please know that you are part of my why. Ramon and I believe that to whom much is given, much is expected. We love being part of the Atlanta community, and giving back is part of our purpose. We don't have any kids, but we think by giving back, we can remain. I've learned so much about giving back from my dear friend, Virginia Hepner. Talk about a woman of purpose. Virginia, I am so much in awe of you and the impact that you have had on so many. I'm also so very grateful to have Barbara Daniel administering the Tomé Foundation for Ramon and me. She keeps us grounded, keeps us focused on our mission, and really, Barbara, you are part of our family. And speaking of family, I'd like to recognize my mom and dad who brought me up in a purpose-led household, my 2 sisters and my brother whom I love unconditionally, and my 12 nieces and nephews who are gonna rock this world. Tonight's recognition fuels my purpose: lead to inspire, serve to create, give to remain. To my dear friends and colleagues who spoke or who provided video testimonies tonight, thank you. To the artists who performed tonight, thank you. To all of you who attended tonight, thank you. To the Council for Quality Growth, thank you for this incredible honor. God bless you all, and good night.